Guys, the signal did not work. Remember when I said that Gaethje and Charles got title shots from beating Chandler? And that Paddy should as well? Well, I was joking. He actually did. Paddy Pimblett is fighting for an interim title off of beating Michael Chandler. What a Thanksgiving gift. We got our first 2 UFC numbered events, I guess, for Paramount, and it seems pretty standard. It's some amazing matchmaking, slapping on an interim title on Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And yes, in fact, the winner is going to fight Ilia Topuria. What did Arman fight Hooker for? Why was he set to be the #1 contender to fight Ilia after? Just a sideline, a shot, shows how much they love him. It is what it is, I guess. And that's not even the craziest part. Alexander Volkanovski is going to be fighting Diego Lopez again on the next one at the end of January. And you'll never guess who Volk beat in his last fight. Forget it, dude. We run it until Lopez wins. But to be honest, all Lopez did was beat John Silva. Factually, that's all he did. The Volk fight wasn't necessarily close. He had a few good moments in the fight. He dropped him, but Volk won 4 rounds out of the 5. And comparing one win ever since to what Murphy has done throughout his entire career is not the best comparison. Murphy did so much more to get his first title shot than Lopez getting his second. But it's a good fight, I guess, you know? It shows such desperation for a Mexican champion. They built a PI over there. They did a whole Noche Sphere event, customized Yair's belt, campaigned and promoted the next Mexican generation of fighters. We will get another Mexican champion, even if it's the last thing we do, even if he's Brazilian. It's the best that they can work with, dude. I don't know. He lives there. He trains there. He calls it his home. So I guess he is Mexican in that way. And that's all they need to run with it. You got to give it to Volk, though. He's willing to fight anybody. He's always been that sort of fighter. But Arman Tsarukyan and Lerone Murphy being passed up is part of the course, dude. It just comes with the sport at this point. What does deserve mean? What do the rankings mean? What does a champion even mean? What does a sport mean? It's all ambiguous at this point. Even Murphy is questioning what is happening. Him and Movsar both have responded to the fight news, and Movsar is looking for the next fight. I mean, he hasn't fought in a long time, so he has to do that regardless. Murphy, though, is depressed about it. He says, quote, "Missing the opportunity to fight one of the featherweight GOATs is what hurts me the most. It's not about who is the best anymore. It's about who is the most popular." Unquote. It's been like that for a long time, Murphy. Unfortunately, Murphy's not a big star. Lopez can play into the Mexican market, I guess, or at least that's what's portrayed. You guys can let me know, for any of the Mexican fans, is Lopez like that big of a deal over there? Because he's like promoted as such. But I wonder what the Arman and Hooker fight was all about then. It was promoted to be the #1 contender fight, and Arman was the #1 ranked contender prior to it. And it wasn't like a boring fight. He performed, he finished him. Just to give it to crybaby Justin Gaethje. I said it before that Ali probably guilt-tripped them with Gaethje's retirement. They don't want Gaethje to go. He's on the tail end of his career. He wants another big fight, and he said he would fight if it's for a title, so they slapped on an interim title. I guarantee there's 2 main reasons why there's an interim title on the line. Number 1, they needed one to headline the card. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes was not going to suffice for most people, although I think it is more fitting than Gaethje versus Paddy, to be honest. But that's one reason. I think they just needed a title fight, so they just put one on there. They could do that anytime, right? The other reason is to get Gaethje to accept it. Because Gaethje has said before, he's not going to fight without a belt. Therefore, they put one on the line just so he accepts it. I was originally confused as to whether this would obstruct Arman's title shot. Perhaps they can just have this interim title fight and then the winner fights after Arman. But we have some news about when Ilia is going to return. He says that he's not going to fight for the first quarter, due to some personal issues that he's having, and there seems to be some assumptions that has to do with his divorce. A man has to take care of his family. We get it. It's understandable why he's not going to be fighting soon, but that will line up with the winner of Gaethje and Paddy. And Dana said that the winner of this fight is going to fight Ilia, so Arman Tsarukyan has potentially just been passed up for a title shot and may have to fight someone else. Who is that someone else? I don't know. Max Holloway, I guess? But then who's Charles going to fight? He just defeated Mantush Gamrot. And Lerone Murphy, what does he have to do? Now he has to, fight Movsar Evloev for the #1 contender fight. The guy's literally undefeated. An undefeated top contender was passed up for a rematch of a prior fight that happened last year. Volk fought Lopez last year. That was his most recent fight. It was a good fight, but Volk was definitely superior. He was clearly the better fighter. He got hit a few times, got dropped. We've had these like quote unquote undeserved title shots before, but it's become so much more normal in the last few years, especially after UFC 300. We've seen plenty of them. 2024 was littered with undeserved title shots, and we're beginning the next year with them, setting up another undeserved title shot off of the interim title. The interim title is undeserved, which is going to make the actual title fight undeserved too, only if Arman doesn't fight for it first. I get it if they're going to have Arman fight Topuria first, but if it's in fact going to be Gaethje or Paddy before Arman, then yeah, it's undeserved. This whole manufactured rise of so many different fighters is insane. Like, the fact that they put an interim title on it so they can line up Paddy to fight Ilia Topuria is so manufactured, dude. Oh my, they told Arman that he's going to get a title shot, and they could have just sidelined it from him. That is so grimy. And I don't know what Arman should do next. I mean, he could fight Max Holloway, but Max and Charles have already been promoting their BMF title fights, so it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's the fight that everybody wants to see. So if those guys fight, then what does Arman do? Does he fight Benoit Saint Denis? Like, I don't get what they want Arman to do. It's very confusing, but I don't want to talk too much about the integrity and all that stuff. We beat that dead horse. This is the sport, so I've come to conform to it. Arman might fight for the belt at the end of next year. Ilia doesn't really fight that often, so it might be the end of the year, or it might be in 2027. We'll see, because let's say Ilia fights in May or in June against the winner of one of these two. If he's consistent with his activity, then he's going to fight at the beginning of 2027, most likely. But the fights are great, right? So the individual fights by themselves, without thinking about the integrity, is pretty cool, I guess, you know? I think Paddy Pimblett is going to beat Justin Gaethje. I think it's a very good fight for him. Tailor-made stylistic matchup where if he takes the fight to the ground, he is strangling him with a quickness. Now, if Gaethje can defend the takedowns and focus most of his training camp on defensive wrestling and outstriking Paddy Pimblett, he could win the fight. But Paddy leaves his chin up in the air. He's not much of a technical striker. I don't think his distance management is going to help too much here, given that Gaethje also has very powerful kicks. He can take out the legs, but Paddy's probably going to be training specifically for those, which would be pretty good for him. So it should be interesting. I think the co-main event should honestly be moved to the main event, but regardless, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes is a great fight. Can't wait to see it. Nunes' return is awesome, and Harrison is very good too. She's strong in the grappling, has great trips in the clinch, bigger than Nunes too, although doesn't have the near the level of striking potency. So it's going to be quite interesting. I think both fights are great, but there are some other good ones on the card too. So Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong has been official. This has been hinted for a long time, and it's great to see that it's finally official. Honestly, might be the best fight of the card. Although the guy was champion, he hasn't fought in too many high-level non-title fights. So 3 rounds against Song Yadong, this is going to be quite interesting. The speed display between these two is going to be such a treat to watch, dude. But also, Waldo Cortez Acosta is fighting Derek Lewis. So he wanted to fight Curtis Blades. It seems like Blades wasn't ready to fight in January, or they just went to Lewis instead. Lewis is willing to fight anybody too. And this might be Waldo's 6th fight in a span of a year. Yeah, he's going to break the record for most fights in a year, regardless if he wins or loses, of course. It should be a great one. I think Waldo obviously should be favored, but you can never count out Lewis's power. And then Arnold Allen's going to be fighting John Silva. Amazing fight. I thought that Allen was going to move up to lightweight, but it's great to see him stay, and this is another opportunity for Silva to jump up in the rankings if he wins. He's going to have to compose himself and not rush a finish here, because Allen's also very crafty. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's strong as well, and he might be physically bigger than Silva, so should be an interesting fight. Umar is fighting again. Activity from Umar Nurmagomedov is great to see. He's fighting Davison Figueiredo, racking up these top contender wins to earn his title shot, and it's great to see because it's only a month away from Merab versus Jan, so if they both win, they can potentially line themselves up for a rematch. It's honestly so good to see that Umar is not going to wait out for a title shot. He's just going to keep himself busy. It's a good fight too, although I think it's pretty much consensus that Umar should be a massive favorite going into it. Davidson's smaller. His wrestling is going to be as strong against someone like Umar, especially from the trips in the clinch. The ground game probably won't be as effective for Figueiredo too, so his power in the stand-up is generally what it seems like most of his reliance should be on, but Umar could strike with him too, so should be a pretty good fight. And then Alexa Grasso versus Rose Namajunas. That's a good fight. And then we speak about Volkanovski versus Lopez. What is going to be different? I don't know. The only way I see Volk losing is just if he's been worn out from fighting. Lopez always has a puncher's chance, but technically Volk was just so much better than him. He looked good against John Silva, but the patient approach is not going to work too well against Volk. You have to pressure him. essentially reverting his style back to what it was prior to fighting Silva would be the best approach from Diego Lopes. So we'll see, man. Maybe he can throw another spinning elbow and knock him out or something. I like the fight because it's Volk versus Lopez, but we've seen this already last year. You know, like, I just wonder what else they're going to do with the other contenders. It is what it is, I guess. You know, we got some good fights at least. Look at it on the bright side, you know? It's nothing new. This is the sport, and it has been for a few years now. Pretty cool. And what do you guys think of the card? What do you guys think of Volk versus Lopez 2? Do you like the fights, or do you wish they were better? And I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be the podcast.